think that, you know, for support you could rely on, of all things, your university. Let's just bring the conversation back to that. What's your opinion about the state of academia at the moment?
Well, I find it hard to comment in general because, you know, they did do a big free speech audit on campus some years ago. And, you know, there were some things that could be improved, but in general, the thought was like, we didn't really have a free speech problem on campus. And I guess I'm inclined to think that might still be true. It's just that there are certain issues that are so hot that there's a problem for those. So I'm sure no one on campus really wants to speak freely about The Voice, for example, at the moment, and doesn't feel like they're able to because they're not in the relevant group. And certainly trans is one of those topics. But there's a sense in which I might just be unlucky because I'm in one of the few areas where you really can't have a constructive conversation, but the rest of the university is fine.
But your career on campus as an academic relies on you conforming to certain ideological ideas, isn't that right?
I mean, again, it depends. I do know people who are gender critical in secret, and they're fearful that if they were to sort of come out, they would like lose grant funding opportunities, and that would compromise their ability to, you know, continue their career in the way they have. So I'm not saying that there's not a sort of chilling effect on speech on this topic. I guess I'm just not confident in pronouncing that like there's a problem for universities. It might just be like 95% of the stuff is fine, but I'd have to know more about different disciplines, right? What their orthodoxies are, what you're not allowed to say. Yeah, maybe it's time for another free speech audit just to check, right?
Yeah, I was just going to say, I mean, how would you rate the state of free speech on your campus? Can you give it a score out of 10?
Again, I just don't know enough about all the disciplines. I do know that I've heard from students taking some gender studies subjects who say that it feels more like indoctrination than critical thinking. I would be shocked if any philosophy student thought that. And I do suspect that gender studies is a bit of an outlier relative to the other humanities and arts disciplines. And certainly the sciences and law and so on are not going to be like that. I hope. Like, again, I just don't know. And it would be great if people would, because you can do practices like that yourself. In my feminism course at the end of the semester, I always do a kind of Qualtrics survey asking them, how free did you feel to express like dissenting viewpoints? Were you scared of your peers doing something crazy, outing you? Were you scared of me? You know, lecturers could do that themselves just to make sure that they have the right kind of environment, but I don't know how many do.
Well, Holly, having seen some examples of the resistance that is being posted about you on campus, I can imagine you feel under somewhat isolated at times and under extreme pressure, and you seem to be handling it with enormous optimism and good humour. So good on you, and thank you so much for your time.
Thanks.
That's Holly Lawford-Smith. She's the Associate Professor of Political Philosophy at Melbourne University, and she's bravely and almost single-handedly standing up for free speech at her campus.